Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of The Magicians. A great premiere. A lot of stuff went down in this premiere that I thought was kind of interesting, because it's like we take the season 3 finale and it's like, oh, we did something interesting there. With this, they built upon that, because I love the whole aspect of like their identities, because it's like it's not just new memories and new lives they're leading, it's also new faces that they have. That's so interesting. I guess that's the complete package about this whole, like, keeping you hidden situation, which I think is so fascinating. The thing is that I'm still not 100% sure of it, and not sure is like, how big is this spell? I mean, the spell was big enough to kind of not only put them in new lives, give them new faces and stuff like that. Obviously their lives are built around them, but what about their old lives, like from when they knew about magic? Has everyone else's memories gotten erased? Like, example, when Todd was the one who was introducing quote unquote Kimber to Brick Bills, which it's like Todd is up there dressed like Elliot, he's smoking a cigarette. It's like, Todd, stop trying to be cool, dude. You're super uncool, and that's why you're cool, is because you're so uncool. But I love that he was trying that. But the thing is, does he just subconsciously think like, oh yeah, this is the look? Is it kind of like a deja vu thing of like, no, just something kind of fits right about this? Or does he remember Elliot? I'd assume he wouldn't, considering the fact is all of this was, so much trouble was going through to build their new lives and everything. It's kind of interesting, like some people's situations it kind of fits. Like if anyone was going to be the DJ, I would have never thought it would be Penny. So I know, always got to remember, Penny 23 to be specific. But I would have expected maybe Josh or something like that. But then like Margot, kind of, was it like fashion or whatever she's into? It's like, that's fitting. But Katie being an undercover cop? Because last time when we saw her in the season 3 finale, she was buying drugs. So it's like, that's kind of sad, because it's like, she can't escape problems even in this alternate life. It's like, oh no, they made her a cop. That's really interesting. You never would have thought that, but that's so fascinating. But what I like too is that this protection spell, this like glamour of sorts, it's super powerful. The moment they start trying to poke holes in it, it starts breaking apart to the point like stuff around them breaks, but people potentially get hurt in the grand scheme of things. Like that dude was trying to run away, he needed protection from Katie, and as he was running, he ended up getting hit by a truck. Like, it's all because this spell is so intent and so powerful on making sure that it doesn't get broken, that it is literally like, because he even tried to like look at who Katie really was before, and it bounced back and hit him and hurt him. And it's like, that shows you just how powerful this thing is, to the point it's almost doing like Final Destination level stuff of like destroying stuff around you, cracking mirrors and stuff like that. It's crazy. And the real kick in the teeth to me is like the slow process of just kind of building it out and just kind of having like Katie be the first one to kind of be like, yo, something's up with this, because she starts noticing little by little like all the stuff that was happening. But then also she ended up running into a hedge witch, which is interesting, and in the grand scheme of things, considering the fact is she rolled with the hedge witches when we first met her and everything. So it is kind of like serendipitous in the sense that she would kind of run into one. I mean, to be fair, it's a small place. I mean, it's the world in general. There's, magicians all over the place. So, of course, you're going to run into people like that. But it's just so fascinating that, she starts believing. She even looks herself up, and it turns out she's connected to, like, a comic book that was written. But it's not just about her. It's literally about everyone else that got glamored, too. And it's like, that's crazy. Apparently, it was written 14 years ago, which obviously it wasn't. But in this timeline, this fake time that was created, it was. Like, that's crazy about this glamour spell, because it's not even like a time travel spell where you went back and rewrote their entire lives. It's like, no, it's a glamour magic that has kind of like blinded everyone to, like, it's crazy how powerful and extensive. And it's like Fogg was able to come up with something like this. I mean, I'm sure he had backing from a lot of people, but to be able to craft something this damn powerful, in magic related stuff, I've never seen a glamour that damn powerful, and that is so insane. Because you simply thought like, oh man, their personalities got rewritten and stuff like that. In season 3's finale, it never crossed my mind of like the magnitude of this glamour. And so, well, what's up with that whole, like, who wrote the comic book that's based on? It's like that whole, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's weird to say. It's almost like, and I've been using this term a lot lately, so I do apologize, but it's almost like a weird soft reboot, especially because we had, like, once again, Todd, doing the Elliot thing and kind of bringing in Kimber, but it turns out that's actually Julia, and it's like, huh. And that's so fascinating, the whole thing, because, like, Kimber doesn't seem like she has any natural talent for magic and stuff like that, but Fogg keeps her around because he knows that's Julia, and, for her, I guess it's because of the whole, well, I think it's probably a combination of, because let's not forget, she pumped out all of her god magic to use to make those keys in season 3 finale, so it's like, even her natural magic is probably messed up. She probably can't, like, it probably, like, drained, like, even, like, her, like, she's bottomed out in that regard. So even probably the most basic of magic probably escapes her at this point in time. Like, until she gets time to recuperate, like, she probably won't be getting her magic back. That's a possibility, or it could just be the fact is because his glamour is so strong, it's preventing her from even doing simple magic just because it's trying that hard to keep her identity. Which is so interesting that Fogg would go to such an extent, but it's also interesting because for him it's like, he brings up the story of like, oh, I once had a student and I didn't allow her to attend and she got hurt, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So because this all goes back to Julia, because let's not forget, like, Julia and Fogg have history because over the multiple timelines, they've actually been pretty tight. And so for him, it's like, obviously everything he did in, timeline 40 was to make sure that, everyone did end up dying and then the beast got defeated, which it did, but that all happened because Julia wasn't there. It was all about sending her on a different path to kind of go through everything, but it's like, because she wasn't at Break Bills, I'm assuming he's like her, I can only assume it's the whole Reynard situation, and it's like, that was also a thing too, because it's like, because even remember Quentin was like when he had one of the keys, the key that basically causes depression, that key, it made him go like, yeah, if you had never like hid the truth about magic from Julia, if you had just outright told her the truth, maybe the whole Reynard situation, that was him guilt tripping himself. But it seems like Henry's kind of doing that now, and so he's like, that's why I won't turn you away. Like, obviously he's still pretending she's Kimber, but it's also because it's Julia, because he knows what Alice said about that creature is true. So it's like, where's the best place to keep her safe? Here at Break Bills. I made the mistake of not letting you come here before, and you ended up getting hurt because of it. I won't let that happen again. So that's interesting. What's also interesting is the fact that you went to that extent for Julia, not anyone else a part of the group. But I guess, no one else in the group had the traumatic experience that Julia did, So, and especially because her situation was more a direct correlation because of what he did, his actions, So that was just kind of an interesting thing all on its own. But I was actually kind of surprised because, like, it focused mainly on Margot and Katie, so I thought, like, oh, we'll probably get to the others later, but it's like, no, like, Josh and Penny get mixed up in it. Also, it's so interesting because Penny has such a Josh personality right now and the DJ and everything. That's why I'm like, I felt like that fit Josh more, but maybe that's kind of the point, to be 100% opposite of who you are. Because let's not forget, this isn't like, once again, this is Penny 23. Penny 23, from a little bit of time we spent with him, seemed very serious. Kind of asshole-ish in his own right, but not nearly to the extent our Penny is, So that's kind of fascinating. But I wasn't actually expecting them to kind of meet up and everything. What's also interesting is Margot's having dreams about Ember, which I'll also bring it up. I constantly get Ember and Umber mixed up. I always think Ember's Umber and Umber's Ember. Like, I always, like, name-wise, Nevertheless, Ember implanted something, and I guess it's just, it goes with every king of Fillory, just like it's naturally just put there. But him being a god and everything, that makes this little seed he plants omnipotent, so it knows everything that's going on. But apparently it gets active, because I was like, whoa, I was like, aren't you dead? How are you contacting Margot? It's like, okay, this is something that's kind of set up ahead of time. I guess, like, every new king, it automatically like pokes in. I also love the whole thing of like, this is so unsettling. She's like, what? And it's like the whole, you look so much like a female. I mean, I guess, you're a High King or whatever. So I guess, because it's just kind of stuck in the old days of just how the whole High King situation worked. So that's why it's like, it's not full on omnipotence. To be fair, Ember's always been kind of an idiot in certain regards. It's interesting because he's reaching out to her being like, it's activated because something went wrong in Fillory. It's like a whole list of things. The one thing that stuck out to me was like, oh yeah, it has to be like a god or something. Because it's like, it happens when like another god steps into my territory, essentially. So it's like, like it immediately may go, oh, the thing that, is inside of Elliot But it turns out that can't be the case because that thing inside of Elliot and Quentin are still on Earth, so it's not them. So what else is going down in Fillory? I mean, the last time we saw Fillory was like the whole Finn situation. I mean, to be fair, it's going to be interesting because it seems like the rewrite was only in this world. I mean, because Margot ends up getting sent there later on. Like I said, I'm skipping around, so I do apologize. But it's like, which once again, Ember's such a dick. Just because he does stuff like that, like, it's like stuff is there that he shouldn't tamper with, and it's just like, oh, you don't remember, oh, you're not in Philly, why don't you just say so? Snaps his fingers. It's like, you don't even add the context of everything of like, yes, she doesn't remember. You're like, oh, you gotta wake up. You did nothing to help bring her memory back, and you just drop her in Philly. Like, he does dickish stuff like that. He always has. Because he did the same thing with Julia when it was like, oh, you need your memory back? Oh, boom. And not really paying attention to what was going on in that situation. So, nevertheless. But the thing I was bringing up is like, I doubt it reaches into another world like Fillory, but maybe it does. That's going to be the big question. Like, when Margot shows up, like, it's like Finn going to be there to be like, Margot, and it's like, wait, what? What's going on here? But to be fair, I mean, the glamour might be going, like, from her body now that she's in Fillory, like, it might not be wiped from her memory. Like, the glamour might still be there in her head, but maybe because if Finn sees her, it's not going to look like Margot, so she wouldn't really know. You know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that regard. I just don't feel like Fog's spell was enough to kind of like reach across the multiverse essentially like that. So they also ended up running into Morena, which has obviously got to be Morena 23, which I realize like we have not seen her subsequently since she made it to Timeline 40, which is interesting too because it's like it's kind of serendipitous. I mean, like obviously the Hedge Witches, she's kind of come here to kind of run things in that regard. So pick up the life that Timeline 40 Morena can't really appreciate because she's gone, but also like the life she couldn't leave in Timeline 23. So. But it's just interesting that it just, like I said, it's just, there's something larger at play here to make everything kind of line up like that to the point Morena's there trying to break the glamour that's on top of him. And even with what she was doing, even being as good as she is, she wasn't able to kind of break through the glamour. It kind of sent a shockwave that hit them as well as hit her. So that's interesting. The thing inside of Elliot is kind of obviously not that great because it kills people very indiscriminately, even to the point Quentin's like, yeah, like he's got his blood on him, and Elliot's like, oh, you should clean up all that blood on you. It's like, yeah, there's plenty of blood on you too. Also kills the ice cream truck dude because it's like, I asked for sprinkles, and Quentin's like, no, Jimmy's are sprinkles, and he's like, oh, Jimmy's are sprinkles, but it seems like he's after someone specific. Also, Quentin's friends is like, it's actually a good thing you don't remember them because I'm going to end up killing them in front of you and it'd be a lot sadder that way. So it's better that you don't remember. But it's like they're chasing someone that's going to be in Greece and it's like one person. I'm assuming he's talking about the person that locked him up in Black Spire in the first place. I'm also kind of surprised on some level he never went after the architect, I'm surprised that hasn't come up into a thing, but I guess it's like maybe the thing doesn't know. And now I'm sitting here thinking about, because I refer to like, thinking like, there's a god level thing or something. It's like, this thing is, powerful enough, even the god sphere, but is it even count as a god? It might not even count. It's god level, but I don't know. I mean, once again, this thing still doesn't even have a name, and let's not forget it ended up killing every other nasty thing in Blackspire. So what those specific particular things are, we don't know, but they were nightmarish enough for like the gods to have them locked away and stuff like that in that prison. So it makes you wonder, will we ever get context of how we got to where we were with this situation? Because the last time we saw this thing, it was in Aura's body. So what made it decide to possess, Elliot's the big question. Like, especially because Elliot's one of the people you plan on killing, I'm assuming, because it's like everyone there, you saw all of them. So why? That was still something kind of on the tip of my tongue of like, yeah. Oh, what's also interesting, and I'm just thinking about it, is Margot's eye. For her, she's like, no, like, I'm seeing colors weird, so it's like, yeah, even with this glamour stuff up, like, the fairy eye is kind of breaking through it. It might be the key to her kind of waking up, her being able to see stuff. Like, because Margot never got an opportunity to really learn what that eye was all about, so I even love her, wearing the eye patch and everything. Just kind of like, it's like something or someone is setting this up for them to remember or something like that. I don't know. Then obviously it seems like time frame wise we're living a little bit more deeper into this whole like library kind of dictating the rules of magic and stuff like that. Because even Todd was talking about it a little bit. It's kind of like it's kind of like it's better in a certain degree than the old world order where things, I guess, like the whole aspect of like, oh yeah, there was no magic at all, so it's like, yeah, this is better, but it's still kind of like they get a little stingy with the magic and everything. So which that in itself is an interesting thing, because there's the whole aspect of Alice. It's kind of interesting because Zelda came to her and brought her bacon, and she's like, you sneaky bitch, you were reading my book right before the blank spot. Because it's like, why would Zelda know that any other way? Because she didn't really know Alice like that to bring bacon like that, because it was from a specific point in her life, with that whole like him trying to help her readjust after getting back to being a human after being an infant and everything. What's also interesting too is the conversation between Fogg and Zelda, where he was kind of like, the fact of the matter is, Alice isn't worried about mass destruction from this thing causing problems around the world. She's worried about her friends getting killed, even to the point it's like, when my glamour fails, which it ultimately will, the only solace I get is knowing that the blood will be on your hands, Zelda. The fact of the matter is, because he's even like, this isn't just about Irene or even just the Order. The fact of the matter is, if it wasn't for those kids, we wouldn't have magic back, but you guys are up here taking all the glory and stuff like that. And, Zelda's so caught up in it, thinking like, oh, like the Order's so wonderful and stuff like that. Because of you, this thing managed to get out. You played your own part in it, but, she's apparently sent people to kind of investigate. I'm assuming those people are most likely dead. If they managed to track this thing down, it would have easily killed them. So we'll see whether that's the case or not. But what's really interesting is Alice, the dude by Alice, which that actor, he's one of those actors you literally see in everything, and I just don't know his name and it bothers me. But you've seen him in like hundreds of things. Turns out that's freaking Santa Claus. But he's like, I don't like that name. It's too commercial. So he was like, yeah, just call me Santa. He was basically working on perfecting a spell that basically tells him to help him find good people. And, in particular, he went to kids because they weren't rotten to their core yet. And she started piecing together, wait, searching for good kids, elves. Are you Santa Claus? I love that. So for him, it's like he's been locked up for a while. Apparently, he was kind of being accused of killing people here in the library grounds and stuff like that. So apparently he even tried to kill himself. But for him, it's like, I'm glad I'm alive, because it's like, I'm not going to die here, and neither are you. We're both smart. We'll find a way out of this. He's trying to keep Alice's spirits up, which she tried to kill herself, but it wasn't to actually kill herself. She was actually trying to find a way out, which is interesting because Zelda's taken such an interest in her. I wonder, in some weird, twisted way, do you think Zelda's trying to replace her as like, is she supposed to be like her Harriet? Because I guess like roughly probably like, because she went to break bills too, so I'm assuming Harriet was probably around Alice's age when she went to break bills and stuff like that, when she left the library in the Order. And Alice being as gifted as she's, because Zelda's looking at her as like, oh, your potential, you could be a master, you could be so much better than like Maya Koski or even Fogg. The fact of the matter is, you could be so great, be a master, and then you can join us. But I'm sure Alice has no intentions of that. And so, but she ended up getting that bug, and she went out of her way to like keep it in her mouth the entire time, which I'm like, ugh. But okay, why specifically, we have no idea what Alice has planned. I mean, it's all about trying to find a way out, but it's definitely a very interesting start to all of this. It's not like the most crazy action-packed thing, but it's such a story-heavy advancement and just kind of like setting this up, like this large like turn of events. Like I said, in some weird way, it's almost like a soft reboot, because it's almost like they're getting introduced to the world of magic, because we got introduced to the world of magic through Quentin's eyes back in season 1. Now we're kind of literally doing it with everyone, with kind of a darker twist to it, with that creature inside of Elliot kind of running around. So it's definitely going to be very interesting, because there's also a lot of stuff I'd forgotten about that I'm curious to see like how that's going to come back. Like the whole situation about Josh and the quickening. I completely forgot about that situation. That's supposed to be something he's supposed to be looking out for, as well as other stuff. We'll ultimately just have to wait to see where this takes us going into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.